Well, good evening. It's another episode of 97 Octane Hockey, and I got to start with the most important thing tonight.
Oh, man. I didn't get the memo.
A large one.
That's a dandy.
So, I guess since the last time we'd done one of these, we played some regular season games. And
Oh, have we? Oh,
well, not the first one. That was, I guess, still a preseason game for us, but it counted for Vancouver. They kicked the shit out of us with an 8-1 victory, and both goalies gave up 4 on the night. Campbell was chased about halfway through the game, and Skinner came in to try to, right the ship and get a momentum change. And it looked like it was going to happen for a little bit, and then it went off the rails, and Vancouver took it to us pretty hard in that game, missing Ekholm. I think played a bit of a role, but even with him, I don't think we walk away with a victory. And I think that was proven, by Saturday night's home opener. Great start for us. I thought we played about 10 minutes of pretty good hockey. And then defensive mistakes, I think, led to Vancouver, getting on the board, getting their confidence up and going. And they were very opportunistic. We didn't give up a lot, but they cashed in on every single chance that they had. I don't really fault Skinner for that game. I think the only one really where I would have liked to have seen a save for sure was the fourth goal from Vancouver, where I think Ekholm forced a low percentage shot, and Skinner it beat him across his body, and I hate those goals. I hate when you get beat to the far side when that's really all that's given up. That one bothered me. People want to talk about the numbers, and I guess we'll play a little bit of Skinner's interview today, which I kind of look at, and I'm like, well, I'm glad he's showing some confidence, but it seems like he's not taking some ownership of what's his too. I think it's fair to say that you need your goalie to make some saves that he probably shouldn't. And I don't think that really happened for either goalie in the first 2 games so far.
You can't blame the goalies because obviously it's a team game too. And but having said that, we have not gotten the good enough goaltending to win these last 2 games on either. Like you mentioned, there's certain times you need a guy to come up with the big save, especially in crucial moments, and we weren't getting it. I actually thought Campbell looked pretty good that first game. He was square to the shooter. I seemed to be reading the play well, but one thing I did seem to notice is that he was struggling with rebounds. There were quite a few juicy rebounds, especially stuff that would sit loose right in the slot there for a while too. And because our defense was already having a pretty shit game that game, that stuff wasn't getting cleared. So that's a tough one to start, but it's tough to press any panic button. The same narrative 2 games in. I think the biggest disappointment is all the hype, all the anticipation, all these claims of or predictions and prognostications about the Oilers being the team to beat. And we all bought into it. We fed into it because we believe it. And I still do. it's just a really disappointing start to a season that has so much promise actually attached to it.
Yeah, I thought we were going to come out of the gates better. I definitely didn't think we were going to get our heads handed to us in the first one, like we did. That was surprising to me. And after that, I mean, Vancouver kind of probably gained a lot of confidence, and we probably, although nobody wants to admit it, sunk a little bit. And I expected Saturday to kind of be what it was. I didn't expect us actually to win, but I expected it to be a better game.
I
Um,
expected us to win, and I think we did the. I think we put out the effort to win. Like number one again. I actually thought this was kind of a weird thing for me in that game because defensively we were so hit and miss because we did keep them to minimal shots, and most of the shots they did get were from the outside that they were getting from bad angles. But then every time they had a grade A chance or they capitalized on a defensive miscue or our grade A chance to just go in, we didn't get the save that we needed, that sort of thing. So it's one of those things where, geez, we'd be so good, and then we just whenever we fell apart. Like you mentioned, the Canucks were opportunistic and just they put it in.
yeah, the first two goals, the deflections basically from the top of the paint. No defenseman is in the vicinity to do anything about either one. Tie up a guy, cross check him, get him out of the crease, take a penalty, do whatever you got to do to, get that guy out of that prime real estate. None of that happened. A little later on, I think something was said because Nurse actually tied up Pedersen on a potential deflection try. He kind of tied up his stick, but then he goes ahead and decides to go crashing the net on a 5-on, you know, odd man chance. Fogel misses everything, couldn't piss in the ocean from a rowboat, and the Canucks turn it up ice and 2-on-0. People are faulting Skinner there, thinking that he should have got some of it, but on a 2-on-0, I mean, I'm faulting the other team if they don't score on it.
Yeah.
By that point, it's
A 2-0 at the NHL level, you should always be scoring on. Now
yeah,
that was a 3-man error, that whole play. I mean, Fogel, that's a terrible miss going far side on a rush like that. And
yeah,
then you had both CC and Nurse jumping up.
yeah,
I know Nurse looked like he was the worst of all of them because he was right in the frame of the shot right when it happened. But in all honesty, like they both jumped up and it was an error on both their parts. I actually thought overall, well, number one, our CC Nurse pairing was the worst pairing that night. But I actually thought CC was just a little bit worse than Nurse because at least Nurse was throwing the body around where CC was standing around just watching a lot of things going on.
I thought actually they had a decent night, except for that fucking play was
No,
terrible.
I disagree. CC was standing around a lot. Seemed to be not engaged as much. He seemed to be waiting. He seemed to be waiting to react instead of act.
Yeah, maybe there's a little bit of a nagging injury still there with him. Maybe he isn't 100% yet. He does look tentative to me at times. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
he had one good rush. He jumped up on the play nicely, and I kind of thought maybe that's going to be the switch that's going to get him back and engaged in this game, and they just kind of faded again. So
yeah. Maybe before we get too far into this, I will play the Skinner clip here. Let me know if it's not quite loud enough. I can turn it up.
It's always not the start that people looking for years ago. What are you sort of sensing with your game? I actually feel really good. I thought both games, when I went in for Soupy, I thought I played a really good game, really good goals that were scored on me. Same with tonight. Definitely want to look back on the fourth one. I'm not really too exactly sure what happened, but something that I can look at and change. Besides that, the other three, I mean, pretty good goals. So I think my game. I feel like I'm in a really good spot.
It's difficult when you're a goalie. Like people say, 16 shots and 4 goals, but there's 2 tips from the blue paint and a 2-on-0. Do you feel like, as a goaltender, when the number's 16, do you feel like you got to try to keep it below 4 somehow? Is it fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say that you want to keep it, have good stats and look good for other people's opinions. That's all other people's opinions on goaltenders. Goalies know how to play, and numbers lie. And I thought I played well. Besides getting 16 shots, letting 4 in. I mean, happens, and I'm gonna grow and move on.
Overall, you guys outshot him by like 25 shots. What do you think defensively of your team's performance?
Defense, like for us, obviously there's things to kind of get better at, and like I can help with that as well. I think we collectively just got to get together and work on those things. I mean, offensively, like you can tell, we're incredible, right? It was a really good game. Dennis Smith there, he played fantastic, and you got to give credit where credit's due. So there's stuff that we got to work on. We're going to work through those kinks and get better.
What does a goalie do on a 2-0? You don't get a lot of 2-0s in a
Really depends what they do on their 2-0. That one is a little bit interesting. Pedersen kind of threw a slow pass, so I kind of thought he'd get a pass back. I mean, they normally do. And then you really just count how many passes they take. But in this case, shot right away. Not too sure if he meant to go 5-hole. It's something you guys could ask him. But, it is what it is. And it's a good goal.
What's the overall, how's this team feeling about itself? Obviously, 0-2, no one's happy with that. What's the sense back there?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of frustration. Obviously, you want to start 2-0, not 0-2. But in my opinion, I believe adversity never kills you. I think it makes you a lot stronger. And for us to face it early on might be a really good thing for the long term. So it just really depends how we bounce back from this and determines how we bounce back from any adversity that we're going to encounter moving on, because we will face adversity. We're going to have games like this. I'm going to get 16 shots at 4, and I mean, it's how you kind of respond to that. So we're going to face adversity again, but it's just how this group's going to respond. And I know that these guys, I know everybody in here, and we have a lot of grit, and we know how to bounce back, and we're a hell of a team. So I have nothing but trust for these guys.
What do you take away from that one, Bobby?
Okay, so he says all the right things for sure. This is what he's supposed to say. Like he says out loud that he feels good. I don't know if he has to say that out loud so that he believes it. But I truly hope that he does believe it. I hope he does feel good. I hope this doesn't knock him down too much. He did take some ownership. He did say a little bit there. There's something I can help back there a little bit more too on certain plays. My biggest takeaway of all that was, so again, he said all the right things except for one thing. The numbers lie, he says. That one gets me. So the numbers that he's talking about that are lying are, 8 goals on 32 shots for a .750 save percentage and a 5.33 goals against average. Both him and Jack Campbell right now on goalie point shares on hockeyreference.com are a negative 0.3. So those are awful numbers. If those are lying numbers, those are like 35 years old and you're still believing in Santa Claus type of lie. Like those numbers aren't lying. Are they a bit exaggerated? Well, yeah, because they were really shitty losses, right? So I think they are a bit ballooned. But having said that, even if you cut those numbers in half, they're still shitty numbers. So that's the only one that kind of I had a chuckle at. But other than that, we're going to need these guys. So, and I got faith in them still. It's a really, really terrible start, but you can't hang these things on the goalies. But
I don't think the numbers lie. I think there's a cruelty in those numbers. I'll go along with that, but they are what they are. I mean,
are what they are.
Yeah. You look at, let's throw out the first game, but you look at the last one, I mean, and you look at the goals, and if you make a save on the first 2, I mean, it's better, it's more luck than good management. Tips from that part of the ice are really, they're next to impossible to stop. If you make a save on there, you've done well. And a 2-0, I just throw that out the window. Some people are saying, but the shot, but I don't know. I get out of his little hit there that he was expecting Pedersen to get it back, so maybe he was cheating a little bit. But if you're going to put that on the goalie, I think you're doing the wrong thing there. Like a lot different could have went on in that play, and it never would have led to a 2-0.
It could have hit him in the chest and gone under his armpit and in the net, and I wouldn't have blamed it on him. It's a frickin' 2-0. Yeah. So he was in position, and Pedersen gave the pass early. So usually if you give a pass early on a 2-on-none, an odd man rush like that, percentages say that you're going to get the pass back, kind of thing, early on. You're not expecting the guy to shoot. It was a great play to shoot the puck right away. Caught Skinner flat-footed, but it's a 2-on-none. If you don't score on 2-on-none in NHL, like you were saying, then there's something wrong on the shooters, not.
Yeah. And then the last goal. That's the only one I'm going to pick at. But to me, if a goalie gives up one bad goal in a game, not such a big deal.
So here's the thing: you got 16. Yeah, door-to-door solicitor. Say no to a new vacuum cleaner.
We would have had a problem in a minute. Sometimes Dursa needs to remember to make sure your computer is actually plugged in. It'll work for a while, but then she'll die.
I will say this. So 16 shots. That is, as a goalie, 16 shots is brutal. That's not a thing. Like when people say 16 shots, like he had an easy night. I'm telling you, 20 shots or less is a terrible night for a goalie. Like you're not in the game. You're not in the zone. You don't have the rhythm of the game or nothing like that. I'd rather get 50 shots a game than 16 shots a game because you're in that rhythm and you're in the flow of the game. You're in that zone. 16 shots, I'm telling you what, I'm that guy. For 16 shots, I'm looking for babes in the crowd. Like anything. I'm jealous of the guy in row 7 who's eating. Looks like he's got a delicious hot dog right now. Like just it's tough to stay focused. I gained a whole new appreciation for Marty Brodeur when I understood what came with that position when I was playing, because he would get 20 shots or less in a game, but 4 or 5 of them would be 10 bell shots, and for him to stay focused that whole time to make that save when he needed to, I mean that's incredible.
Yeah, you're doing the Patrick Waugh. You're skating to center ice. You're stick handling around the whole team just to stay in it.
I had to learn tricks to stay focused. Thankfully, most of the teams I played on were pretty shitty, so I would get 40, 50 shots a game. But on the nights where I would have a slow night, like 20 shots, I would try to find tricks to keep me focused. So I would start doing play-by-play in my head of the play going on, so I could stay focused on the game itself, right?
So I think we've kicked that subject around enough.
Quick point I want to make though. I couldn't help but notice, as we all did, the game that we're just pummeling Vancouver. Casey DeSmith puts on a Vezina-like performance. Where is Casey DeSmith on the tier of Vancouver goalies? We can't score on backups or third stringers or nothing. It's just another example where that's happening. Last year, we finished 3 games under 500 to backup goalies or lower, and now we start off again 0-1 against backup goalies.
I would say that he made a couple of saves on Draisaitl on the power play that he probably shouldn't have.
He was phenomenal. Victor Smith was phenomenal that game. He stole that game for sure. You don't get that bombarded in shots and not put the onus on the goalie for say, you know what, you got us these 2 points.
Which is kind of interesting because that goal that Nuge scored, I mean, he tore him to shreds. I mean, it was a perfect shot, but he made that look really, really easy. Just walk in, roof it, and it's by him, and away we go, right? So, I mean, they still can score goals. It just gotta limit what you give up on the other end, and they did, but I don't know, like the Nurse thing, that's a brain fart. The other 2 are just blown coverage. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't think it should matter if you're playing a zone or a man. If you see a guy, in that paint area right in the middle, you got to get him out of there or tie up his stick so he can't do what was done back to back. And I hope Dave Manson goes through the tape with these guys and shows them, like, this is something we can't do. Like, that part was bothersome because this is basic shit, like really elementary basic shit. We got to get a grasp on that before you try doing anything that's more complex.
Well, it's funny you say that because in game 1, I thought Kulak was probably our worst player in game 1 because he was playing beer league defense. Like he didn't touch a guy. He was swinging a stick at the puck randomly and just wasn't engaged at all. And again, of course, he didn't cost us the game. It's definitely a team loss, but he stood out to me as a guy who just was not in that game at all.
I think I'll play Kane's clips and then we'll move on to Nashville. This is Evander from today. It's kind of comical, so, and it's not too terribly long. So
Just a thought, Andrew. Just you guys liked your game on Saturday. You didn't get the result you want, but can you build off that going into the run?
Yeah, I'd say we like parts of our game. I thought we did. I don't know if we could have done any worse, but we did a lot better than we did the night before against those guys. So, but at the end of the day, we have to. We gotta not expect to score 5 or 6 goals every game to win. We have to limit goals against and be a little bit harder in certain areas.
Generating a lot of chances. It's just a matter of trying to bury some of those.
Yeah, and I know we had 40 shots or whatever it said, but I really think we could add more. And we spend a lot of time, I think, on the outside. I think we have to really start to penetrate the middle of the ice, especially in the ozone, and get pucks there to create some more great ice scoring opportunities.
If you end up on this line in dry settle like you practice today, what parts of your game do you kind of need to make sure you have rolling when you're skating with those two guys?
I mean, I played with them together the last couple of seasons, and we seem to all work well together and know how each other's play. And I think we can hopefully generate some more opportunities off the rush. We haven't had too many odd man rushes in these first couple of games, so hopefully come over zone clean, come through their zone clean, create some stuff off the rush, and obviously when we get into their the other team's end, just being harder around the net and getting open for those guys.
Vander, outside noise is outside noise. How are you guys handling the to start within the group? I know it's just.
I know we're dead last in the league, 32. Sky's falling. It's no, trust me, I see it. I've been out around town and but I think again we're 2 games into the season. We got a 0 winning percentage. We could be 500 in the next 2 games. Who knows? But our focus is on tomorrow night, getting our first win of the season, getting a good feeling back in the room, and moving on, hopefully to Philly.
Are you getting more support from fans or advice?
Oh no! I mean, we're only 2 games in here.
So not looking ahead to next year yet?
Sorry?
Not looking ahead to next year yet?
No.
Is that just the market, right? Like if things have gone well, they're planning great. If things go badly, you're on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, we understand the expectations, the excitement, and obviously the desire to win in this city, and we all feel the exact same way. And I think the community, the fans understand that we as players feel that exact same way, if not more, and want to put our best foot forward. It's not going to be perfect every night. It hasn't been perfect these first 2 games, but we look forward to getting better as the season goes on.
Some players don't like that fishbowl. Others really embrace it. They think it's good for keeps everybody sharp, keeps everybody interested. What's your position?
I love playing Edmonton. So I played in a fishbowl. I wouldn't consider Edmonton a fishbowl, but it's definitely a passionate hockey market, and it's fun to play for.
Matthias Ekholm's kind of in the same boat. He came there from somewhere else and very quickly sort of embraced the community.
Yeah, I mean, as a hockey player, you want to have that pressure. You want to have that type of fan base that backs you and that desire to win, not just within our own team, but within the community. I think it just drives you as a player and as a group to be your best every single day. And we embrace that for sure. You never panic over it.
Sorry, there's Kaner's comments. I thought it was kind of funny.
What's your take on our power play so far?
I thought in the first game a little disjointed, a little trouble doing what they do with the puck, like the control and passing. Just timing was a little bit off. I'm actually surprised that they're staying out for a minute and 50. I thought we were going to see a little bit more of a balanced first unit, second unit this year. That's kind of what was trying to be sold to us, I think, by guys like Rashog and that or Strudwick, and that hasn't happened. I've seen them stay out for extended times. The thing that is worrisome to me is that teams have adapted, or at least Vancouver's adapted, and they're ready to pounce on the little drop passes back to McDavid. Got to disguise that better if you're going to do that, or carry it. Bouchard later, I think, on Saturday he carried it in. He carried it in himself. So after it basically just about got picked off and on a breakaway the other way with Connor being kind of the guy back, but racing the other way. Need a little bit more deception, but I thought, on Saturday too, they started moving the puck better. They started to look more like they're getting back to themselves. The penalty kill though is atrocious. That is if they don't figure that out, that's going to be an Achilles heel of theirs that'll keep other teams in games that they have no business being in. And I think that's kind of what kind of hurt them a little bit in these two games against Vancouver.
Well, you combine the shitty penalty killing with a couple of undisciplined penalties too, and that's a bad combination right there. I'm with you though. Good pickup on the drop pass thing. That happened once each game where Richard walks it back, gets intercepted. So, but you could definitely see he was more aware of it as the second game went on. He definitely was shoulder checking a lot more and that sort of thing to see where Connor was instead of just dropping it back, hoping Connor would pick it up in mid-flight, right? So
I mean, but if he becomes like deceptive with that, like he might catch the people cheating on him too, so it could lead to odd man rushes. Like, look back to him and see if they're going to go for that little drop and then don't drop it at all. And
the power play, the only time I was disappointed in the power play was when we couldn't cash in on that two-man advantage. That was my only disappointment. Other than that, I think we've controlled the power play. We've bombarded the net, or seem to be net focused on getting pucks to the net. So the goals will come. And having said that, we're in 2 games we're at 27%. So that's not a shitty number at all. It's not the 31, 32 that we're used to right now, but of course only 2 games in. But that's a very acceptable power play now to begin. And we could have had more. We got stolen by Casey DeSmith because we had 7 power plays last game. So we definitely could have had some more there, but we're definitely putting on pressure.
Yeah. Sorry. Names joined us here. Nice to see you, bud.
Go Fort Hawks, Name. Are they even still around? Jeez, that seems like ancient history to me now.
The good old days, hey?
Oh man, those are great rivalries between us and Fort Hawks.
So today, line shuffling, I guess, started to happen, pairing up, the big line with Kane, McDavid, and Dry. Fogel getting a look on the second line with Nuge and Hyman, and McLeod and Holloway and Brown on the third line. The fourth line probably stays the same. Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola on what is their show? Man, I'm drawing a blank. Oh man,
on Edmonton Sports Talk.
Yeah, their noon show. Anyway, they were thinking that it's just Woody kind of trying to troll the fans and Nashville playing kind of coy. I kind of have my doubts. I think they will run that. Draisaitl seems to terrorize the Nashville Predators whenever we play them. Last year he was a point machine against them, and I think like the last 6 or 7 straight games against them, he's just been a force, one-man wrecking crew. But something tells me that it's too early to be kind of playing the mental games. I think he is going to start those guys all together.
I agree. I don't know what he gains by trolling. So I think we are in that mode right now where we just want to get that first win, and then we'll start settling in a little bit. So and I'm one of those guys who is not against loading up a line. I don't mind putting all your best guys in the first line, and if you have the best defenders will obviously be paired up against you then, but and they can be effective for a while. But how long do you keep a combination of McDavid and Draisaitl quiet? Like, they're the 2 best forwards in the world, so they'll adjust their game, eventually as the game goes on. To me, it's like me being a Tennessee Titans fan. Derrick Henry, good golly, like he starts the first half by running 2-3 yards a game, just pounding the defense, and by the time the second half is going, he's running for 7, 8, 12 yards because the defense just beat up.
Yeah.
Right? So you can only defend for so long before it just gets to you.
Yeah, to me, if you're going to go with the nuclear option with McDavid and Draisaitl together, I actually like the idea better of starting them as a unit rather than using that as a band-aid solution to try to catch you up in games. I like the idea of kind of just if you're in that arm wrestling match,
Yeah.
you take it over right off the start instead of trying to come back. I like that idea better. I still like them on their own running their own lines, but
Well,
I
there's
haven't.
benefits to both for sure. I understand of spreading it out a little bit, but that's still a decent second line. If we, let's say, no, Fogel's more of a third line player.
Yeah,
I don't mind them giving him a shot up there. Just like he has had some second line in Carolina a little bit here and there. So, but like, an option of Nuge, Hyman, and Brown looks a bit better to me than Fogel up there, maybe.
I think Holloway's actually showed well the first two games, and him getting a spot in the second line left wing would not hurt my feelings. Um, but yeah, I Fogel's tried hard, but the hands just aren't what they need
No.
to be a top six guy with this group. I haven't
And,
liked
and in
I have
fairness,
I
go
haven't
ahead.
liked what I've seen so far out of Zach Hyman, out of Connor Brown, out of Evander Kane. Like those guys really haven't brought it yet. And that's a good thing, I guess, if we're losing games and they haven't really entered the fray yet. That to me, that's promising because if they do, then it'll make it easier to start winning some games.
Well, I will disagree with Hyman in the second game. I thought he had a really good second game. He was definitely part of you know, the problem there in the first game, like a lot of guys were. But I thought he actually had a really good second game. But I am totally on board with your diagnosis on Holloway. I thought Holloway was our best player in game one, really.
Yeah, yeah,
And he also showed the no die attitude by blocking that shot there at 7-1. Like there was no quit. Like he definitely seems to be very determined this year. He's throwing his body. He is forechecking the Dickens on every play. Like he's been that way I thought actually, even though he was our best player in game one, I thought he had a better game in game two. Like he played really well.
yeah, yeah. No, I've liked what I've seen out of him. That's promising. You know, if there's a defenseman worthy of praise, I don't know who I would list.
Well, nobody in the first game, but I actually thought Bouchard and Broberg played really well in the second game.
Yeah, Broberg's kind of flown under the radar, and as a sixth or
Kept it
seventh,
simple in game two. Like he
as a
was awful in game one, as was Bouchard, as was pretty much everybody, I guess. But he kept it simple in Broberg, and I noticed his attention to detail and just chipping up the boards.
now we're on this Hawk theme. Name has to say, "Come back like Hawk," over the top.
Now we're in over the top. Yeah,
I gotta turn my truck on there. Name.
Turn the switch on. Yeah. Well, we are only aging ourselves now, boys.
It lets the kind of gray hair through, though, so I'm going to turn it back. Oh, man.
Yeah, we got
that old movie.
Workout. So we got Nashville coming up. Nashville, who are 1-2 right now, but their one win was a shutout win. Close game though against Boston. I think they lost 3-2 against Boston, and I think Boston's going to be a sneaky good team still.
Yeah,
I have them coming out of the East to go to the finals. So,
do you?
I do, because I think there's less pressure on them now. Yeah, it's going to make a difference to us have Bergeron and Krejci. Absolutely, how does not be? But Bergeron also has already created that atmosphere in the dressing room. His presence will still be felt there. Marchand, like him and Bergeron, basically best buddies on that team for so many years. So he's going to carry on that kind of, try to emulate that kind of leadership culture, right? Pasternak,
yeah,
he's a Rocket Richard favorite in my mind. Even though Matthews, I guess, would come out of the gate pretty hard. But again, 2 or 3 games in. But less pressure on the Bruins. So I think there's one of those teams that's going to – they got the best goaltending tandem in the league. So,
yeah, on that front, I'm just going to pull it up. And so checking your out-of-town scoreboard tonight.
hey!
The Red Wings beat the Blue Jackets 4-0. Convincing one. The Chicago Blackhawks beat the Leafs 4-1. And Rangers beat the Coyotes 2-1. The Washington Capitals beat the Calgary Flames 3-2.
Well, how about that, eh?
And I guess Eric Francis, you like to say all season long. Michael Hebert had to point out in our group chat.
Oh, that was good.
So Leon Draisaitl's got a goal in every game all season.
Yeah, does he have all the goals?
And finally, the Florida Panthers beat the New Jersey Devils 4-3.
That sounds like a pretty good game.
Yeah. So Ekholm returns to Nashville, and it's thinking that might be emotional for him as his kind of final way to say goodbye to what was, because he spent, was it 12 seasons there, I think?
He was there for quite a while. But I think it's going to, I'm so glad he's back. I mean, he did look a bit off for it being his first game. He looked a bit flat-footed. He still made some really good plays as well, but definitely wasn't the Ekholm that we're used to. But that's to be expected. He didn't play a single preseason game and missed the first game of the season. So hopefully he'll be fired up and for this next one, and we get that Ekholm that we need, because he is that stabilizing factor back there that calms things down that's much needed, especially right now where we're running so wild and uncoordinated in our own zone.
6 o'clock puck drop, or shortly after, probably 6:07 or something tomorrow. According to the score, Stuart Skinner is our expected starter, and UC Saros for Nashville. I'm kind of thinking Campbell's going to get the net tomorrow myself, but
I think so too.
Yeah,
I think he should. So right now, nobody's really proven that they want to be in that net, or deserve to. I shouldn't say want to, but deserve to be in that net. So let's just alternate here until somebody steps up here and we can ride him for a couple of games.
Nobody's taken the net, Nobody's nobody said this is mine and I'm going to run with it. That just hasn't happened yet.
12 years in Nashville. Yeah, you're right. 12 years is check.
Yeah. And
a trip to the finals for them too.
Yeah, and good for us for making that trade. That's great. I watched a little bit of Erik Karlsson with Pittsburgh, and he makes things happen with them. But I just think Ekholm was probably more of what we needed than another really high octane. Coin our own phrase here, but high octane, high offensive defenseman. I think getting more of a shutdown D-man is really what we needed. So.
Yeah, well, maybe, but he definitely fits what we need. But it's tough. How do you say when you pick up Karlsson? How do you say that was terrible if he's a Norris winning defenseman? He still would have helped us too, absolutely. But in regards to what we need back there right now,
it would have taken us in a different direction, is what it would have done.
Yeah, we'd have changed some things back there. But if we're looking at Karlsson and Ekholm side by side, who do you choose if you're picking up a D-man for your team? I'm picking Karlsson. He's phenomenal. Yeah. But that's not a knock against Ekholm. There's very few players, very few D-men you pick ahead of Karlsson, I think.
Yeah. But, would he still? Some strangers saying here, would he still favor Skinner for some reason?
I don't know if he's really showing that. And again, just right now we're just banking off a rumor that says Skinner might be starting next season. But I mean, there's something to be said about having invested in Stuart Skinner. Woody has known Stuart since the beginning of his professional career.
There's a longer relationship there, yeah.
But I think he's smart enough to.
He's going to do whatever. He's going to do whatever it takes to win. I think in the playoffs, I think it was a little bit of damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Whether you want to think of it or not, there's a certain amount of Woodcroft being in the hot seat. You got the team for it. Now we need to guide the team for it, right? And if Woody isn't the guy, he might be safe. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to create any controversy there, but there's going to be whispers, right? There already was last year when we got knocked out. There was whispers about Woody not being the right guy.
Yeah.
There's pressure. There's pressure being the Oilers head coach.
For sure. And, LA or Vegas proved that you can win without having a a flat out number one goalie, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. And like he isn't even flat out number one now. Like him and Thompson are sharing the net. And Thompson was in the All-Star game last year, so he was red hot until he got hurt, and then they had to go by goalie by committee after that. So,
if you buy into some of the rumors too, it's we're going to go into Philly, we're going to play the game, and then we're going to walk Carter Hart to the plane to come home with us.
I do find it interesting. I saw there was a rumor from a pretty credited source. Oh my goodness, who was it now? But I guess the Oilers did look into either Linus Ullmark or Jeremy Swayman during the summer.
Out of Boston,
so, yeah. So there is, obviously that's they weren't happy with the way things ended goaltending wise in the playoffs. I think that may have been more of a coaching situation, how the goalies were handled overall. But I guess you're always looking to improve your team in every position that you can. So you're going to check into a team because let's face it, Swayman and Ullmark are probably both number one goalies. Swayman could be a number one goalie somewhere else, probably for that matter. So you're going to look to see whether those guys would fit what you have in mind for your team.
Just to give people a bit of a heads up, next week it looks like we're going to get Sabres Bunny from Twitter, Jill, to join us, and she'll hopefully have a Sabres win, and we'll have some Oilers wins to talk about next week. So that's kind of what it looks like. She was going to join us tonight, but came down with a pretty significant illness, and she just had a baby too, and the baby's sick too. So they're both sick, and so we just wish her well, and we'll have her next week. She knows her shit, and she's a big Rasmus Dahlin cheerleader, and I look forward to that conversation. I think for the most part on Mondays we'll do kind of recap of the week, and there's not that many conflicts where there's a game on the night that we're supposed to go on Mondays, so it works good. If we play an Eastern Conference team out east, we'll do post-game shows on Mondays, and if it's a later one here on the West, we'll go before it, and we'll stick to Mondays. I'm not sure what you're doing Thursday night, but I might be down with chatting post-game there, or I think there's a Winnipeg on Saturday night, maybe after that. So do a little bit of post-game stuff as well. It's going to be a fun season, a little doom and gloom here to start, but they'll shake it off and they'll get going. I didn't expect everything to be, a straight climb to the top of the mountain. There's always peaks and valleys in a season, and, starting with a little adversity will make them better.
I think it'd be different if we started the season 6-2, and then we had this kind of 2-game losing slump here, but just the fact that we start the season that way, 8-1, that's our biggest thrashing we've gotten since Connor McDavid's rookie year. The New York Islanders beat us 8-1. So, that's a pretty significant thrashing now, because he's been here now for a while. So tough way to start, but yeah, it's early on. It's funny though for the season, so both games that have happened has been shitty for me for timing wise, because I've actually had a hockey game on both those nights. So I've had to PVR it and then watch the game afterwards and not go to bed till 1 o'clock in the morning. So that made that 8-1 loss even more difficult to swallow. I could have been sleeping through this to begin with. So.
I remember in 2006, I actually went to a game with Chad, and we were sitting behind the Oilers net, and they were playing the Avalanche, and it was 7-1 for Colorado, and Ethan Morrow scored to make it 7-2 late in the third, and the fans actually booed the goal. The other fans booed the goal. It was
sarcasm.
It was like the Bronx cheer, the Yankees. But that team went on to Game 7 on the Stanley Cup Finals. So.
Yeah, the lowest seed team in the playoffs, I think, that year was definitely out of the West. So that was as Cinderellas go, that was a Cinderella run for sure. But
yeah, we made it to 11:59 as Cinderella that night.
And again, it's not necessarily the best team that wins. It's just the team that gets hot at the right moment and finds a way to win. Because let's face it, the Boston Bruins were the best team in the NHL last year. They were. They didn't have a lot of weaknesses at all. But in the playoffs, teams found a way to beat them. I mean, they became susceptible.
It's a war of attrition too, right? Like you can get worn down physically and mentally, and not everybody's equipped to handle that.
So what's your prediction for tomorrow?
I think they find a way to get a win. Yeah, I don't think it'll be a blowout. I'm gonna say 5-3.
Oh, well, you're still going pretty high. I'm knocking it down, and this might be just me, rose-colored glasses and fruit punch talking, but I say 2-0.
Yeah, I don't think they have that figured out yet to make it that low scoring and get a win. I think there's still work to be done on their defensive game, and I don't think it happens overnight. I think it's going to be a progression. I do think they figure it out eventually here, but I don't think it's overnight. There's just like, and it seems wrong because it's such basic shit. Like I that part's the hard part to figure out. There's a guy in front. Maybe we should move him. Maybe we should tie him up. It's elementary level hockey, but that's not getting done. So,
what do you think of the narrative that some people are trying to push? Spector is one of them. Mark Spector's been one of them, kind of leaning towards this about maybe the Oilers haven't been on the ice for too long before training camp with the captain sort of stuff. Like they're getting tired already before.
I think he's reaching.
Yeah.
For a story. Yeah. No, if you're going to look at that as a negative in any light, I think you're fucked up. I won't sugarcoat it.
Yeah. And it wasn't even like the captain skates aren't intense skates. I mean, they do a couple of drills and they do some scrimmages, but it's not like they're going balls to the walls just to get their legs going, get ready for training camp, and then put on a good camp. So,
this is a good comment here, but those Canucks were quite strong. I almost think if there was a lot of emphasis put on by Tocchet on us, and if they face another team, they might not be quite as well prepared, but they seem to have a pretty good game plan. They seem to be ready for that drop pass from Bouchard, like they were targeting that. They knew it was coming, and it wasn't well disguised by Bouch, but they knew what to look for. And were primed and ready for that. They, I don't think their game was all that sophisticated, but they came at you. They came at you with speed. I think they're a better team than they were last year. I think they've made improvements. I think there's guys on that team now that have a bit of a chip on their shoulder and they're tired of the suck, so they want to do something about it. It'll be interesting to see what happens when Vancouver plays a different team, because maybe they put all their bullets into that gun to be able to fire at us and have nothing left. We'll see.
I think you're bang on the point of Tocchet prepared these guys for the Oilers. I think Tocchet recognized what a boost it would be to the team, to the whole franchise, to even like the first game, to win that first game against a Stanley Cup favorite team. What that would do for the confidence of your team, right?
Yeah.
So he had them prepared to the hilt for that team, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if for the last week of training camp they are preparing for how to play against the Oilers and how to play against McDavid and Draisaitl, especially on the power play and what have you. And they carry that momentum. Not necessarily the second game; they won the second game, but the Oilers they dominated. So this is a bonus for Rick Tocchet. Rick Tocchet couldn't have had a better start to the season than having 2 wins against the Stanley Cup favored Edmonton Oilers, including an absolutely massive blowout in Game 1.
I gotta push back on this, but I'll show you the comment here. He says, "Yeah, I hope they take it to other teams too." Not me. The hate for Vancouver is pretty strong. Like them and Calgary could lose the rest of the year, and I would be perfectly fine with that.
Well, I do think in my preseason predictions, I don't have the Canucks making the playoffs. I do have them fighting for that last wild card spot. I think it's going to be very, very tight race for the last 2 wild card spots, or for the 2 wild card spots. I think the Flames are going to surprise this year, and I hate saying that, but I think they're going to surprise a little bit how they're going to do this year.
And I'll push against you there. I think Vancouver is a better team than Calgary.
I expect bounce backs from Huberdeau. He's a top 10 NHL forward. Markstrom is a top 10 NHL goalie. They both had off years last year. Their defense is rounding into form a little bit. Mangiapane was off last year a little bit too. So I just see them, have a pretty good step forward.
I wouldn't be surprised if actually Kuzmenko does more damage for Vancouver than Huberdeau does for Calgary. That
Well,
actually wouldn't surprise me.
Huberdeau's done shit for Calgary so far. So
Yeah.
So and there's no way you keep a guy like that. He's too talented. Like he's too good. He just didn't fit early on, and then he lost his fire. He couldn't find his groove. He lost his fire. But even now, there's no way you keep a guy like that down.
Yeah.
Look ahead to Brock Besser. He lost his fire too. Look now how he's come out of the gate. Sheesh.
Yeah. Besser's going. Pettersson's going. It's funny. I gotta say that. I gotta say this. This guy from Vancouver was crying the blues that late in that first game that the Oilers were running after Pettersson. Did you just fucking omit the fact that Pettersson jumped to hit CC? Like, don't cry about your guy getting run when he's doing running, like in a hockey game. That bothers me. That's like, oh man, it's like you're playing junior B and the guy's running around just trying to hammer everybody, and then other people start going after him. I mean, it's what's coming if that's the way you're playing.
If you're a star player on a team, and Pettersson is, and Quinn Hughes is, they're star players on their team, they will always get a little bit extra attention if the opportunity is there, and they won't necessarily go out of the way, sort of thing. But if he's in the vicinity, they're gonna knock him, they're gonna bump him, they're gonna poke him. Like it's happening to McDavid, it happens to Draisaitl, it happens to Crosby, it happens to McKinnon, it happens to McCarr. That comes with the territory of being one of your players that carries the team. And you know
that shenanigans are going to start to come when the game gets out of reach, right? Like,
yeah. So if you're so worried about that, then why throw him on the ice when it's 7-1? So.
There's that too. Yeah. Hey, what do you think about Ryan Reeves basically getting in a scrap every game for Toronto so far? I don't know if he fought tonight, but I think he was 2 for 2 right out of the gate. And
I'm not surprised, especially early on. He wants to make an impression. He wants to win the fans over. As long as he's not really costing his team in that regards. And so far, they've been, they've been good fights, and they've been with the guys who want to fight him.
Yeah. So, no, I think he lost the first one with Wi-Fi there from Montreal.
I thought it was pretty close.
Oh yeah, no, he took a couple right in the chin that I think loosened him a little bit. The fight with Foligno I thought was pretty much a draw, but
you know what? And Foligno went into self-preservation mode, and good for him. I mean, good for him for taking the fight or for jumping in for the fight for sure. But he like Foligno's smart. Like he's not gonna trade blows with him. So
yeah, no, you got to protect. but that Wi-Fi could trade punches with him. Like
he can.
He's quite the chucker.
What is Reeves now? Like he's 36 or something like that. Like he's not a kid anymore either. So he's gonna milk the last of these kind of moments that he can and make an impression, go out with a bang kind of thing.
So everybody lost an ego says I miss Michael, Dash, and Durst. Yeah, I haven't been on with those two for a little bit.
I feel like I just got picked on.
I miss us with Chad. Oh, we got to dunk on the guy when he's not here. It's the best time. I mean, he did that to you when you lost your service there that one night. He's like, "This is the best Bob's ever done."
Well, this is probably the best episode I've ever done with Chad. So
tit for tat.
He's never sounded more intelligent to me than right this minute.
Yeah,
but I'll need to get some of my boosters on here to put some good feedback about me in there. I just got singled out. Like, geez. Mom, are you watching? Say something good, Mom. Are you watching?
You could phone a friend.
I got no friend to call.
Oh man. So predictions on the road trip? We got Nashville and Philly.
Well, these are on paper. These are teams that we should be beating, but so were the Canucks, right? So thanks, Massacari. Is that how you pronounce it? So yeah, these are games that we should be able to use to build momentum. these are probably also teams where you can probably make a mistake or two and shouldn't cost you as often as it against the Canucks. They don't really have the firepower the Canucks have. I mean, you can make an argument about Forsberg for Nashville, and you'll see off the back end, but Philadelphia doesn't really have anybody that strikes a lot of fear in you. Having said that, these are also good games to round into form, right? Find your rhythm, find your style, or make a statement. This is what your style is, and find your game.
Yeah, I think we'll win both on the road, and then it's going to be a tough one against Winnipeg at home on Saturday.
Yeah, Winnipeg's another team that I think is going to surprise some people. I still think they're capable of a playoff spot. They got a good core.
Scheifele, I guess, said on Got Your Back that after he signed his contract, he slept for 10 hours that night. So seems like he's got a weight off his mind, and he might be a force again. The guy definitely can play, and he's got a bit of an edge to him. And yeah, I'm still kind of a little bit in shock that Winnipeg seemed to resurrect what they got going on there. And if Angel's listening, I think maybe one of the problems in Winnipeg was Pierre-Luc Dubois. And congratulations, LA, you've got him now.
Well, I will say this for LA: if they're to get the best out of Dubois, they have to do it in this first year, because Dubois always seems to do well with the first year that he is on a team, and then he gets kind of complacent after that. So you have a motivated Pierre-Luc Dubois right now. You take advantage of that, because when he's motivated, he is an elite player in this league. But there's so many times he just takes a night off when he's just not feeling it, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that he's requested a trade on every team he's been on is kind of a red flag as well.
Also, today a little blurb came up on one of my notifications that there's goaltending troubles in LA.
Well, like we didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
Like you're hoping for Copley to find the form he did last year, but what he did last year was an anomaly as well. Like he's been a career minor league for the most part. When he's been up in AHL, he's been a backup. And Talbot is inconsistent at the best of times. When he's on his game, yeah, he's fine. When he's on his game, he can do what Aiden Hill does.
Yeah.
He's probably a better goalie than Aiden Hill is when he's on his game, but he's just so inconsistent with.
When Cam Talbot's in a groove, he can be an elite goalie, but it's just being in that groove that sometimes is a mystery on how to get him there.
Yeah. And to begin with, he hasn't been in that groove.
Any final thoughts, Bobby, and we'll call it a day?
Go Oilers! You kidding me? It's been a really shitty way to start the season, that's for sure. But I know, I work with a guy who's a diehard Leafs fan. He works basically right beside me, and so there's a lot of trading of bars back and forth. And of course, I got to hear about how Matthews has got 6 goals in his first 2 games, and Leafs come flying out of the gate. But I'm not too concerned. Not the start we wanted, but there's no way we don't find a game with the 2 best players in AHL. I keep reminding myself of that, and that gets me fired up again, because we get to watch them do their magic tomorrow night, and we get our first win.
Yeah, I mean, even a losing effort, watching Draisaitl and Nuge and McDavid work on the power play and that is a treat. And just watching them in open ice, I mean, just so gifted, the things they can do with the puck. So this
Draisaitl was our best player yesterday, or the last game. He played elite. He really did.
Yeah, he seems to have that little bit of chip on his shoulder already. And I noticed in that game, there's some games where he's not 100% engaged, and he was fully engaged in that one and aggressive and just after it. We've switched, from 9 o'clock to 8 o'clock for these on Mondays. Got some people, I guess, out in Eastern Canada that doing 9 o'clock is 11 o'clock for them, and a little too late when we're ending at midnight. So, dialing it back an hour has kind of appeased them. I hope this works. This time slot works for everybody out west here. It seems to work for me. It's good. I can get done and kind of get my 16-year-old to be son to bed and organized and all that. Appreciate everybody for listening. And either Thursday or Saturday, I think we'll do post game. If Bobby wants to jump on with me, if he can, that would be cool.
I'll check out see what I got going on. Hopefully, I'm not playing that night again.
Thanks everybody for watching, and keep your sticks on the ice. Keep reaching for the stars. Go Oilers, go! And hopefully, we are talking about a few wins come Monday for sure next week. Good night, everybody. And now for everybody's favorite cool down music.